Unusual and unnecessary. Those are two words the state's chief administrative judge is using to describe a proposal by Governor Andrew Cuomo that judges submit time cards to make sure they put in a full day's work. Good evening, I'm Scott Levin.
And I'm Mary Alice Demler. It's part of the governor's budget that's now being weighed by state lawmakers as we hear from Channel 2's Dave McKinley, all new at 6.
Let me get to the controversial question first.
Said a downstate lawmaker at a legislature budget hearing about Governor Cuomo's call to have judges account for their time and to have the state comptroller certify that they're working 40 hours per week.
Does the judiciary have any qualms with certifying these hours and implementing the governor's request?
It's an unusual proposal, certainly.
And according to the chief administrative judge of the state Supreme Court system,
Our position on this bill is that it's unnecessary.
in making his proposal, the governor never inferred that any of the 1,300 judges paid by the state might be slacking off, but he did note there's a chronic backlog of cases in the court system and suggested that by certifying that they're putting in a full 8-hour day, the public can be assured judges are doing all they can to eliminate that, especially because the judiciary is asking for $44 million more in this year's budget.
We are on top of this problem.
Through something called the Excellence Initiative, which calls for the investment of more technology and more personnel in the court system.
To attack delays and inefficiencies that all too often can frustrate the administration of justice.
Which is precisely what the governor expressed concern about and what the extra $44 million would cover.
That is why approval of our budget request is critical.
Justice Marks also suggested that if the governor is so worried about backlogs, maybe instead of babysitting the current crop of jurists, he ought to give some thought to hiring more of them.
Absolutely, it's something we should look at to see if there's a need for more Supreme Court justices.
But he concedes in a state facing a $4 billion deficit, it's a pretty penny, with consideration beyond the $174,000 salary each judge would command.
We need more court officers and court clerks and court reporters and court interpreters and the like. So it's not a cheap proposition to create additional judgeships.
There is actually a clause in the state constitution which requires one Supreme Court justice for every 50,000 people in a jurisdiction. And there are some parts of the state where that is simply not the case, which is why you sometimes see county court judges elevated to the position of acting state Supreme Court justice to help cover the caseload. Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.